And the river still shines and shimmers in the light as it did in our grandfather's day, when they rode all night to fish in the morning and lived in Willapa Bay.
Just about ready to fire off the 8 o'clock hour here. Now, it would not be this easy to share these stories without our friends by our side. So thank you once again for allowing everyone to be part of your Fisher Poets weekend. Now the next performer on stage is a true rock star in the Fisher Poet industry here. He has fished off the Oregon and Washington coast, a very, very able-bodied seaman on the salvage, Chief. My friend and yours, Geno Leech.
That was a big build-up, man. Okay. It's called seasick. Well, I've been down the Gurrian mud and hands and knees puking in the sea slop scuppers. I've puked in a lava soap scum galley sink as a crew nod. Snow tire steaks for supper. Well, I puked picking poison spine, green-eyed ratfish and stickweed gobs while hauling back the sock. I puked in a sloshing black oily engine room bilge, engaging the power takeoff. Well, I puked on virgin white cannery flake ice, steaming vapors in a heaving rolling fish hole. I puked in bucket mouth lingcod, idiot fish, and high dollar petrolly sole. Well, I've had the chills, the shivers, the shakes, and the sweats from my Helly Hansen hood to my extra duff boot toes. I've shot puke gushers out of my mouth like a trash pump discharge hose. Well, I've had dry heaves so bloody bad. If I had a gun, I'd have shot myself. If I had the strength to unbuckle it, I'd have hung myself on my belt. Yeah, I've been greener, sicker than a salmon poisoned dog and greener than a Boston Celtic while walling around on some old slab of a leaking seagoing relic. Well, getting seasick, your machismo takes a hike. Your ego and vanity crumble. Yeah, but I don't take offense. It's just a sea's way of keeping me humble. Thank you. I'm nervous tonight. We only do this, once a year, None of us are professionals, but anyway. So this next one is about, it's a half a poem of the salvage chief. Probably one of the most well-known vessels that ever sailed up and down this coast. The whole west coast and Alaska had some amazing salvage jobs. And best years any deck I was on that vessel, Built in 45. Tremendous pulling power. A lot of big heavy winches and anchors. But doesn't really get the recognition like it should. Down here at the museum, they've had very little on it over the years. I don't know why. They've, old captains, old log books, film, stories, and they're doing this big edition down there, and I sure as hell hope they put it in it. So this is the last half of the Salvage Chief. Well, blistered by the tropics and blued by the Arctic wind, her dogged crews in danger, her bonded next of kin. They've tasted fear and fury on her black cat steel decks, paid with back and bone to free a stranded wreck. Whether riggers, welders, divers, towboaters, engineers and skookum fins, ex-coasties, loggers, seagoing cooks, and commercial fishermen, they're stacked around the edges like a choker setter's cuffs. They have heavy marine salvage hearts and red lead primer guts. Well, the chief's bow chocks flare like warhorse nostrils. The stranding's in the wind. She greets green hissing boarding seas like a sentimental friend. For 50 years, she's rolled the dice on distant wrecks and ventured across the bar. She's a salvage chief, a steel saint with a Fairbanks beating heart. Thank you. Yeah, you'd think my wife was back here in labor or something, man. Some nights you got it, and some nights you get the bugs, you know. But anyway, so now this one here is called Leftovers. I fished on the Columbian Star with Blair Miner. The Miners are an old family up and down this coast, and we just two-manned it on there. But he did all the cooking, you know, for a captain to cook. You know, that usually doesn't happen, but man, he was good. One of the best captains I ever had too, so it's called Leftovers. Well, did some two-man dragging with old Blair Miner and the Columbian Star. He was one fine skipper and a hell of a fish boat cook. Well, his claim to fame was a big old copper pot bottom kettle pressed up with chili and stew and chicken and dumplings. Hell, a deckhand never had it so good. Well, he'd give that kettle a big old sniff and a stir, and he'd always say, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, me and my wife went to New York, went to a restaurant full of hanging ferns and eat dorks. Yeah, it was a Highliner joint up in Midtown Manhattan. Had more stars than General George Patton. Well, the waiter walked over my entree of Nouvelle cuisine. Had one pigeon neck, 2 fava beans. Well, I bit my tongue, but I just had to say, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, my wife reared back and barked both my shins. She slapped the snooze juice right off of my chin. I asked her, "Honey, what would I say?" She said, "You said we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, what I have here, man. Well, later tonight when you're tucked in your bed, this here poem will be doing jumping jacks in your head. And next time you're stirring the stew pot, I guarantee you'll be repeating old Blair Miner's phrase, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Thank you. What else we got here? I'm driving my wife nuts. She laid this whole book out for me and everything real nice. Okay, so this is, sorry, honey. This is a pink-orange glow. Pink-orange glow, so that's the color I always envision with the sodium lights out there, you know. For crabbers, they range, I think they start in the Bering Sea or Norway and they work their way down. Speaking of crabbing, had a terrible deal over in Ilwaco. That Ilwaco landing caught fire and had all those crab gear stacked outside on the dock and everything, and it all caught fire. There's few thousand pots burn up out there right before the season started. So crabbers up and down the coast from border to border, they all chipped in and got these guys going. You know, they donated gear, did whatever they had to do, and them guys got in the water and went fishing. Really amazing. Too bad those boys ain't running the Senate and the Congress, you know. Okay, here we go, pink-orange glow. That's another one of these is going to be half of it. So, well, she idled across a breaking bar, casting a sodium globe. The lump was 10 to 14 feet with an occasional buffalo. The crew were wedged in heaving bunks, Grime pillows drank their drool. Their clammy quilts were patchwork stink of bait and brine and fuel. Well, the skipper's wash rock fissured face glowed green in the dashboard lights. Hit past more lighthouses and telephone poles. He was a hard case stick and stay guy. He slurped scalded fishboat Folgers from a varicose veined white mug. Zippoed his umpteenth camel and kept an eye on an inbound tug. He found a hole in a lump and throttled up a howling 6-1-10. The boat gave a buck, she banged and she rolled and shipped green water again. He ran offshore and sniffed out his string, painted Norwegian green and gloss white. In foaming black seas, buoys danced, dove and teased in the pink-orange glow of the sodium lights. Well, the grog cowlick crew rolled out of the bunks. The boat wallowed deep in the trough. Silent and sullen, they pulled on dank boots and questioned the lives they had wrought. Drunk with sleep on a rolling back deck, their lungs dragged in diesel exhaust and shining like seals in moss green Helly Hansens, they meat-axe crab bait and swung out the block. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll tell you. Well, anyway, now this is the first. I never sang before, right? Maybe in Sunday school 70 years ago, but this is a plagiarized the a tune from post-World War I. And this might go good or real bad, you know, so. Yeah, and it's called, well, for one thing, it's in the key of Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And I don't have any backup, so I'm going to sing this one a cappella tonight. It's called Brother, Can You Spare a Crab? Well, once I had a crabber, made it race down a string. Once I had a Detroit, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a crab? Once I had windows on a boat, took them out by buoy one. Now I have staples and a plastic tarp. Brother, can you spare a crab? Well, once in Helly Hansens, we sang, I can't even read it. Stay with me here. I ain't had one like this in a long time. Let me start over. Hold it. Sorry. Okay, once I had windows on my boat, took them out by buoy one. Now I have staples and a plastic tarp. Buddy, can you spare a crab? Once we wore Helly Hansens. Gee, we looked swell, singing no pain, no gain. 500,000 boat for killing those bugs, and I was a guy getting skunked. Say, don't you remember they called me Brad? It was Brad all the time. Say, don't you remember I'm your dad? Buddy, can you spare a crab? Say, don't you remember they called me Brad? It was Brad all the time. Say, don't you remember I'm your dad? Buddy, can you spare a crab? Thank you. I'll never forget this one. I guess I gotta get my ass out of here about now, so. But anyway, I don't know, shit. Yeah, well. Okay, well, I guess that's gonna do her. Thanks for the patience and thanks for coming out, and we'll see you down the road somewhere. Thank you.
me to grab your books when I come down? All right, Geno, man. I tell you, we love you, man. Dude, we love you. Forever and a day, brother. Forever and a day. Our next performer, she fished salmon and albacore tuna on the fishing vessel Spring Persuader. She was a product tester for Grundians. I wonder how that went. And I am founding a fisherman wives group in the Columbia River area called Fish Her. Hailing from Westport, Washington, but making her home port here in Astoria, Oregon. Let's give a big, warm fisherman's welcome to Amy Sharp. Do you want a loose mic or do you want it back?
I can put this in here. I think. That is still am product tester and fisherman. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a joy to be here tonight. Let's see. The ocean is my church, the divine body of my Christ. Tithing my whole life, I gladly make the sacrifice. Tossed about in holy waters, I am baptized in the salt. To watch the sun boil down into the ocean is to understand Gestalt. The sunrise and sunsets are when I sing my praise. I will always worship my God for all my salty days. So I get the joy of fishing with my significant other, and you know, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of test, there's a lot of success, and there's a whole lot of just him and I and ocean for a very long part of my year. So I always really love it when the seabirds show up. They're just, you know, they're my friends, they're my buddies, and I love them, and I think that they know that, but they also think I'm weird. So that's okay. They like it when I feed them. And I really love the albatross, and I, you know, felt very compelled to tell the story on how a sailor can pass away and come back as an albatross. So here it is. The albatross in flight slowly dips his wing. Above the waves he loves so dearly, they have always made his heart sing. Oh, what a journey to be found so far offshore, truly a thing of legend, another fisherman's folklore. For he was just a young lad when he first stepped foot on ship. 30 years he sailed the seas, to the ocean he did worship. Until one fateful day, when goddess ran with all her wrath, conjured up a sea storm amidst his vessel's path. With terror you can't imagine, his vessel split in two. Caught in Iran's purse seine, she drug him deep beneath the blue. She claimed the best fisherman to see if his love was true. With dying breath upon her seabed, he whispered, I love you. She took him within her body, consumed all but his soul. Impregnated by his love, she gave birth to him whole. The young fledgling flapped with all of his might until he burst through the waves, an albatross in flight. For every mariner drowned, sailing the seas for gold, there is a regal albatross just grateful to grow old. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to go into a short poem that says something very nice about our operation, because Johnny is a world-class captain to work for, and the boat is honestly the love of my life. So my next poem is not going to be so nice, so I have to do a nice one real quick. There was a boat that did, only because it could, buck across the Pacific Ocean, whether or not it should. That boat didn't stop, never to take a rest. The boat kept on fishing, pushing to be the best. The boat is always trolling up and down the west coast, always catching fish, producing more than most. The skipper runs his boat, often without sleep, always working hard, a highliner of the fleet. This next poem is a no-bull story from a couple of years ago. I was very inspired after last Fisher Poets, and I said, you know, I'm gonna do better this coming season. And I actually wrote a poem that I enjoy it, and I hope you do too. And I also got to annoy the heck out of Johnny with it, because I set it on repeat for about 4 months straight out on deck. And it's long, it's my longest one yet, so I don't have it memorized, so bear with me. We started on the prairie in search of the grand Chinook, the prize of all the salmon, if you can persuade them to bite your hook. Aha, the birds and whales, surely the kings are here. So we ran back to our troll pit and quickly set our gear. The prairie was looking promising, so we gave it our best effort. Back and forth we tacked, but the prairie was a desert. With disgruntled sounds in motion, we surely pulled our gear, to the waning of our enthusiasm and waxing of our fear. Captain throttled up the boat, turned her south away from Canada. Surely we will find some bait between here and the Willapa. So hour after hour, he just stared at the blank screen, praying to see bait fish, viewer to a dismal scene. Down past Destruction Island, then down past the casino, and somewhere out in front of the Willapa, a pitiful sound did grow. No feed, sounds my captain's hypnotic cry. 6.4 knots through crested waves on a southern bearing we ply. In the midst of all the muttering, as if a light bulb had turned on, Captain jumped and turned towards me, and I responded, "Yes, dear John? You know, for old time's sake, I think I know where to take a look. For I have caught 1,000 kings right off the head of Tillamook." So with a glimmer of hope, we kept pushing to the south until we slowed the boat just past the Columbia's mouth. We threw in our spoons and hoochies onto that ancient tack and towed from above terrible Tilly down past beautiful Haystack. This is where dear John reminisced on his childhood of all the kings in Coho caught back when the dory days were good. With trucks and trailers the men would gather there on Cannon Beach, little Johnny running amongst them, learning all they'd teach. The son of a fisherman, he'd deckhand for his seat in the final glory days of the dory fleet. But alas, here we are now, and not one fish on our hook. "Let's just pull our gear," he says, with a saddened look. 6.4 knots through crested waves, we set out on our southern bearing. No crab spawn, no anchovy, not one single herring. No feed, I listened to that entire second day as we searched off Garibaldi on that 28th of May. Further down the hill it happened, there at Cape Lookout. The birds were startled off the water when Captain John began to shout, "What is the phase of the moon? Where has all the feed gone? The water's clear and blue, and the temperature's all wrong." It's a scene I've seen 100 times when their judgment begins to cloud, because there's nothing in the world like salmon fishing that can make a grown man pout. Pacific City to Cascade Head, Cape Foulweather to the rock pile. No feed, mile after mile. Then there came the banter across the radio. Pumper Tom saying he has 60 when everyone else has 0. I've learned a lot about my fellow men and the character of a guy, because there's nothing in the world like salmon fishing that can make a grown man lie. Out on the banks, Captain yelled, "We are running again this whole second night. We will not slow this boat until the abandoned high spot is in sight." And so it was that we slowed the boat on the 29th at dawn. Almost 50 hours without sleep, running on coffee and a yawn. I'd heard a dozen stories. Abandoned high spot, home of the Grand Chinook, the biggest in the Pacific, coming up on every hook. And so, with anticipation, we threw in all the leaders. Instantly, with joy, we started catching feeders. At 9 a.m. it happened, the hardest a spring has ever pounded. Our hearts quit beating, neither one of us made a sound. It was on our starboard main, the hardest I've seen a pole shake. I felt it in the deck. It made the whole boat quake. It was at that moment the silence was finally broke. We will never catch this fish unless we give it a 30-minute soak. And so time crawled by, minute after minute. Everything else in the world vanished. We were fully in it to win it. After the 30 minutes, John began to pull the line. He ran the East Hope smoothly as he took his time. As each clip emerged, I did a hard swallow, until from the depths came a gigantic black shadow. So cool and collected, John pulled the giant through the water. It didn't fight, it didn't spin, and John didn't falter. I couldn't believe my eyes at the sight of a 60-pound Grand Chinook, the biggest king I've ever seen, come up on a hook. There at the back of the boat, the three of us locked eyes. The look on that king's face when John swung the gaff was the look of surprise. I'll never forget that moment. When the 70-pound test broke, that Chinook just shook his head like we were just a joke. John ran into the wheelhouse where I figured he'd curl up and die, 'cause there's nothing in the world like salmon fishing that can make a grown man cry. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Oh, what a great job. I tell you, I think I could listen to Amy read the instruction manual on an air conditioning unit and be just as entertained. Great job. All right, our next performers come all the way from the island of Martha's Vineyard on the East Coast. Oh, yes. Molly Conole and Mark Allen Lovewell are fisher poets. They sing, tell stories, write poetry and songs about their maritime connections, family, heritage, and loves. You can find details on their mollyandmark.com website. They come here today to share their fishing community stories, not unlike our own. Let's please once again give a big warm fisherman's welcome to Molly and Mark.
Let me get this in the right place for you here. Is that kind of good? What do you think? Is that pretty good? Oh, we gotta move you over here. Let's get this one.
Isn't Molly wonderful? I'm not doing anything and she's doing all the work.
We'll figure it out. It's all good.
How would you like to sing with me? Please say yes.
Yes.
How would you like to sing with me? We're going to do a song that is more than a century old, could be 200 years old. It goes back to the days when all fishermen were sailors, when boats were powered by sail, and they sang sea shanties. And we're going to teach you the chorus. Come all ye young sailormen, listen to me, while sing you a song about the fish of the sea. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. That's the chorus. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. Try it. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. Well, up comes the whale, the biggest of all. He went up aloft and let all the sails fall. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. Now up comes the mackerel with his striped back. He stands up on deck and says, my name is Jack. Let's go. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. They're good. Well, up comes the bluefish. He's a wagging his tail. He flips and he flops and says, time to make sail. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. Now I know you all love swordfish. Now up comes the swordfish. He's the king of the sea. We're coming about, boys, so heartily. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. One more verse. Well, up comes the fisherman. He's stalwart and grim. He dips his big net in and scoops them all in. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes. Blow, ye winds, westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes.
This one's in C, key of C. Here we go. Perfect. It's coming from the sea, so it should be in C.
So, it's so good to see you all. Oh my gosh, it's so fun to be here. Let's get these figure picks right.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about this next song. He wrote it. That's good enough for me. And it's a song about something you find on the East Coast when you're going out in the water and you're a little hungry. You might be looking for some bay scallops. And they're smaller than the sea scallops, really tender, really good. And this is a song about scalloping. Bay scalloping song. Good title.
And I just want to make this really strong point to all of you. Many of you know what sea scallops are. We're not talking about sea scallops. We're talking about bay scallops. And bay scallops grow in the coastal ponds of New England. They're only harvested commercially, regularly on the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. And if you could ever get yourself a taste of a bay scallop, you would be amazed at how close it is to the flavor of candy and seafood all wrapped together. It's just delicious.
So good.
It's so good. And it's a tragedy. It's a sad story because bay scallops were harvested on Long Island. They were harvested in Cape Cod. And people love them. And they pay over $80 a pound in New York City for them. So anyhow, we're very fortunate that we
We can get our own sometime. You get a little license, you go out there and your waiters and you get some. I had 7 this year. Oh, it was like gold.
I'm gonna turn this a little so I can see what
There you go.
And if I was a little more organized, I would have brought a bay scallop to share with you, a shell, because they're very beautiful, but I wasn't that organized. After a long, bitter, cold day on the water, I'm at the bar with a glass of bubbly ale, sharing salty tales with a few of my friends. The bartender, he comes up to me with a large bay scallop shell. I say, this is the way that I know. It is all that we can tell so. Cold waters around us are now so clear. Bay scallop was the livelihood for most of us here. Mackerel clouds overhead are moving on. We call it a sailor's sky. And the wind lines flattening the water, bringing a following tide. You can taste the salt waves in the fresh autumn air. Watch the gulls drop the shells from way up there. Haul our drags, feel the rope tighten, hear that Evan Rude go slow. We'll find a better place where the eelgrass grows. In the shucking shack, Susie's empty shells are piled way up high. No one can match her rhythm, her or her welcome smile. She's the fastest cutter that everyone knows. Match the speed that her shucking knife goes. Mackerel clouds overhead are moving on. Call it a sailor's sky. And the wind lines flattening the water, following tide. Oscar, a scalloper, there's none like him today. He fished a catboat called Vanity, following the old-timer's way, pulling on his drags, culling with his bare hands. Even in a wintry wind, he was a warm-hearted fisherman. Well, the bartender took the shell back in his palm, and he turns and he looks at us, and we're all sitting so calm. He said, "You just heard it from someone who can tell a tale." of this old coastal town. You know, he did it while holding just one shell. Mackerel clouds overhead are moving on. Call it a sailor's sky. And the wind lines flattening the water, ringing a following, ringing a following, ringing a following We got 5 minutes though. I'm sorry, we're trying to be quick because we're trying to cram 3 songs in three.
We got it.
Right.
So this next song brings to the forefront the feeling that, well, it says it in the title, Home Again. And
She wrote it.
Thank you. And there's a chorus that you're going to sing, and you'll hear it and you'll pick it up. So please sing it with all your heart.
It's
about home. Where is home? Well, you're going to hear this. Could be a lot of different
This may be
places.
the last song you get to sing with tonight. So join in.
Yeah, please do. All right, you'll get it. On a catboat, traveling light. Oh, wind by day and stars at night. On deck below, I hold you tight. Here I'm home again. Home. Here I'm home again. Comes around again. Here you go. Home. Here I'm home again. You guys are so good. On land it's busy all the day. Oh, with work, and then there's time to play. Oh, fiddling, singing, that's the way to feel I'm home again.
Here we go.
Guess what's coming? Oh, home. To feel I'm home. To feel I'm home again. Here we go. Oh, here. Here I'm home again. Memories catch me unaware. Oh, the times were rich when you were there. Oh, love and laughter everywhere. Past times bring me home again. Past times bring me home again. Here I'm home again. Oh,
Thank you so much, Mark and Molly. That was great. I am but a violin in the darkness. All right, we are getting ready, but for another intermission here, and we will return at 9 p.m. for our last segment. Now, once again, for those of you that may have been inspired by listening to all these performers, and this is open to everybody, we have our on-site poetry contest taking place at the Liberty Theater at 10 p.m. No more than 30 seconds long. It must include the words full moon. First and last lines are the same but different, and include 3 Bodie prepositions, such as a beam, a stern, a board aft, to the starboard, or to the port. All right, let's all take a break, and we'll see you back here promptly at 9 p.m.
Blow the gentle wind o'er the dark blue sea, no more will stay thy hand, since Willie is safe at home with me in his own dear native land.
Thanks so much for talking with us today. Can you tell me your name and what town you're from?
Yeah, my name's Karen, and I'm from Wheeler, Oregon, so just down the coast.
So Karen from Wheeler, how many years have you been coming to Fisher Poets?
This is my 2nd year. Yeah, so brought my husband this year, so hopefully he'll enjoy it as much as I did.
So it was good enough to bring your husband back. What is it you particularly liked about the performances last year?
I think the variety, and I actually got up on stage at the Liberty Theater for the, I don't know what they called it, instant poetry or something. It was fun.
I'm so impressed, and now I'm like extra excited that I stopped you on the street to talk to you. So tell me about that experience. How did that go? Did you win? Did you storm off stage? Did you?
No, I did not win. However, I think everybody was a winner because it was so much fun. And I was here with a group of girls, so all my women friends were there. I'm not sure if they're laughing with me or at me, but it was fun. It was a good time.
Well, what would you tell someone if they were thinking about coming to the FisherPoets Gathering?
Definitely do, and stay over, check out the shops. You know, Astoria's a fun town. It really is. So, you know, we're semi-locals, but it's still fun to poke around and see what's in all the shops.
Thank you so much for taking a quick minute to talk with us.
You bet.